Like, it's key to the entire fucking thing. It's part of the conversation. You can't talk about the current Gaza-Israel war, or Hamas-Israel war, however you want to fucking call it, and not talk about the fucking hostages.
Proving my point.
It's called the dissolution of the apartheid regime. That's what it's.
There is no solution to Hassan except for the complete eradication of the state of Israel. Which, guess what? You don't have a solution either.
How does that not register in the same genocidal intent? If you think what that dude was saying, which was, by the way, ridiculous what he was saying, the Hamas official was saying, is that we're going to do October 7th over and over.
Because even if you want to say the Israelis are being genocidal, at least they have the fucking, you know, good sense to like have an air of plausible deniability.
All right, let's bring in my panel. Streamer Hassan Piker, journalist Emily Austin, uncensored
Hassan jump scare, true.
contributor Esther Kraku, and podcaster James Barr. Well, Emily, I mean, on one level, I guess it was quite funny, but on another level, I didn't like what she did to Alec Baldwin. I've got no truck for Alec Baldwin whatsoever. And I think with this case that he's got hanging over him, I hope that justice is served, because ultimately he did fire the gun that killed that poor woman and has been on some kind of weird PR tour ever since. But I don't like to see any public figure, whether it's Eric Adams, the mayor, on a plane, or Alec Baldwin getting a coffee, harangued and harassed in that manner. Now, I tried to conduct a serious interview. She obviously wasn't interested in doing
that.
I
have a lot of background knowledge and history.
And joke and performative thing. Fine. That's entirely her right to do it. But what did you think of these harassings, not just by her, but by other people, of public figures?
You tried to conduct a serious interview with crackhead Barbie?
Well, no, I was asking her about a viral video of her harassing Alec Baldwin, which I...
Sorry, Hassan W on that one. All right. Hassan, the one Hassan W I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. You tried to conduct a serious interview with crackhead Barbie?
I do actually think it's a serious thing. I do actually think public figures should not be harassed in that manner. I've had a bit of it myself. I think it crosses a line, right? And Alec Baldwin, you know, as far as I'm aware, has not said anything particularly sensational about the war at all. So why she is harassing him in the street in the way that she did, I think is worthy of examination. Now, as it turned out, she had no interest in having a serious conversation. Okay, so we've cut it off. But I don't think I should be blamed for getting on someone who is literally at the center of a quite big news story in America for harassing a famous star. Do you, Hassan?
No, it was for clout. She was doing it for clout. That's why she went on the show, also for clout, which you were correct on pointing out that using the ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza and what's happening to the Palestinian people as a vehicle to create more social clout for yourself, social capital for yourself is pretty disingenuous, pretty messed up.
I have to jump in there, though, because isn't that what everybody's doing?
So I'm going to make a guess. Obviously, pro-Palestine. This lady has the Star of David. She's going to be pro-Israel. Now, these two people, this is a total toss-up, all right? Total toss-up as to who is pro-Israel and pro-Palestine. Who knows?
Isn't that what the show is also doing? Because you're talking about create political clout, to create noise,
I'll come back
to get clicks, to make money.
Listen, let's not all be disingenuous.
No,
right?
but the whole conversation, and actually Crackhead Barney isn't that different to you.
Well, actually,
and Crackhead Barney said it herself. She said,
is it Barney or Barbie?
No different. And I kind of agree with Crackhead Barney. I didn't think I'd say it.
If you think there's any correlation between what she just did on the show...
someone screaming over someone and not letting them speak. Right. There's definitely a correlation.
Well, you think that I've treated you like she treated Alec Baldwin?
No, I'm just saying that I think that actually you aren't that different. You're trying to do the same thing.
I'll come back to that.
You're just doing it in a different way.
No, it's a preposterous suggestion. I do not do what she does, right? But Hassan, here's the point I make to you. A lot of people think a lot of these protesters at universities in America are performative. The ones who are chanting
made fun of Hassan many times.
The ones who are chanting about intifada and pretending it's not about a violent uprising. I mean, do you accept that a lot of that is not only performative, but public demonstration of support for terrorism?
Absolutely not. I don't think that. I mean, all protests are technically performative, obviously, but there's a very clear-cut goal for the group of students at Columbia and many other universities. I was in Melbourne not that long ago, and I attended a Palestinian protest there, a Palestinian rally there, and the students there were also demanding the exact same thing, that they divest, their colleges divest from a lot of the companies that are aligned with the state of Israel, a lot of the companies that are directly involved in operations in the West Bank, a lot of the companies that are playing a role in the regular maintenance of the apartheid regime of Israel and helping Israel conduct an ethnic cleansing campaign. That is the ultimate goal. That is why they're trying to very clearly cause a little bit of a disruption and engage in.
But are you comfortable?
I saw this video yesterday.
You can do
are you comfortable with the ones who are seen chanting support for Hamas?
Okay, y'all need to stop linking me stuff because we haven't even gotten barely into this at all, okay?
I saw this video yesterday. Listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot to say you need to stop drinking Coke Zero on stream.
Why?
It's boycott.
Wait, is it?
You're preaching pro-Palestine and you're drinking all this boycott stuff, please, Hassan.
I would. Bro, I'd bust out a 2-liter right there. Like, bro, I'm thirsty. Like, what the? This is what I would like. The last stream that I did, I talked about the things that the left is doing that is just like burning out people from ever listening to anything that they have to say, and the constant shaming of people for doing normal everyday things like drinking Coke or Coke Zero is this is why I'm pretty confident that the left-leaning, you know, crazy shit like this is just gonna go away here in the next like year or two. I really do think that. It's already been kind of dying. There are a bunch of people on, you know, in the space that I inhabit, or inhabited before I was banned off of Twitch, like the Twitch politics crowd. People like Joe Lewis pretending that he's not a socialist, or like disavowing like leftism in general, right? Yeah, that was yesterday's video also. Yeah, I'm going to link a video at the end of this, just so you guys know. But it's just like my guys. Do you care about support, or do you care about genuine support, or do you want people just to like fear the repercussions of not supporting what you support? Plug the video. We'll link it in chat. Tron, you're a mod. You can link stuff in YouTube chat. But it's just like these people don't care about the actual. They don't care about the actual issue. They care about the aesthetics of caring about an issue. You know.
Palestine and you're drinking all this boycott stuff, please, Hassan. At least pretend. Do it off stream, please.
Okay, I'll put in a glass. Is Pepsi okay?
No.
No soda, Hassan. I didn't know it was like that.
I'm trying to stop it. He's an animal.
I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know it was like that. Man, you know what? He deserves to get. Hold on. Let me qualify the statement. When you're going to sit around and you're going to support all of the kind of like harassy behavior, like for pro-Palestinian shit, if someone does it to you, right, and starts trying to with you about one thing that you're doing that is a totally normal thing to do in normal society, I'm not gonna have like literally any sympathy. I have sympathy for Alec Baldwin because he was just getting a coffee. I have no sympathy for Hassan. And every time he IRL streams, if this happened, I wouldn't bat an eye.
Down the mental institutions in society has had a profound and negative impact on the public at large. It's had a profound and terrible impact. Like, if a crazy person like that came up to me, I would immediately be like, "You're so right. That's completely true. I'm so sorry." And I would tell them whatever they need to hear in order for them to leave. We have to figure out one way or another to get them to de-aggro this person.
Faced.
Or chanting about intifada.
I am perfectly comfortable.
Fanta is the one true Palestinian support drink. True.
With people
Those who know.
about the intifada.
Those who
as far as the
know.
Hamas thing goes, any kind of protest is always going to have a litany of random people, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. You have to look at the actual tangible goals that the protest movement is stating there.
No, the methods in which they use are also pretty important, Hassan. Yeah, like you could have like the most divine goal of all time, but if your way of trying to bring about that divine goal that everybody agrees with is like raping a child in Times Square to prove your point, the goal doesn't matter. The methods also matter, right?
They're interested in. And I think that those goals, and I think you will agree with me on this, Piers, I think those goals are pretty valid overall. I think that they want to, one, recenter the attention to the genocide that is ongoing in Gaza, and two, demand that their tuition dollars do not go to operations in Israel. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a campus. There's going to be a sister campus that is being built in Tel Aviv right now for Columbia University. This means that Columbia University, which once housed the likes of the late great Edward Said and many others, and that currently has many Palestinian students who pay tuition for projects such as this one, will not be able to go to that sister campus.
I would be so curious. Columbia University demographics. What kind of demographics do we got? Net blah 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 blah. Oh, Rice University. They're super hard to get into. Do we full-time, part-time retention? 99% retention rate is crazy. Oh, they just break it down by white, Hispanic, or black. Oh, Asian. How many students do they have? Because this says 3 million. Oh, man, it would be so interesting. Race and ethnicity by share. Okay. He just said that there's like lots of Palestinian students. It would be so interesting to see what see how many actual Palestinian students they have.
I find that abhorrent, but it's everyday existence in Israel.
Let me bring in Emily. You've been listening to all this. Your response?
With all due respect, Hassan, why?
They're going to let him out of that cop car because they've already gotten his information. Or at least I would assume that if you're a cop, you've already gotten his information. They're going to let him out of that car. And they're just going to arrest him later when he's not around a bunch of people. I mean, listen, this is peaceful, but I don't know what the guy was arrested for because this person's obviously not going to tell us.
Do you feel that Columbia or any college for that matter owes you to divest from Israel? Why do you think your opinion is correct? Because so far, I heard the classic buzzwords: apartheid, discriminatory, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, which is funny because it's all the exact opposite. So if I may ask you, what about Israel is apartheid? You also just said the students in Israel, the campus in Israel would not allow Palestinians to join. Are you confused or do you know nothing about the country of Israel? Because let me remind you, Jews are not allowed in the West Bank and Gaza. However, Arabs have full Israeli citizenship, have the rights, are members of the Knesset, which is the equivalent of, you can think of Congress, and even prosecuted a former Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, an Arab judge. So what apartheid exactly are you speaking about? What genocide? What ethnic cleansing? And secondly, how dare you say it's okay to talk about an intifada?
Yeah,
Let me remind you, the intifada last time it happened in Israel consisted of thousands of people dying in bus bombings. So are you saying that you support terrorism and killing innocent people?
Well, intifada simply just means revolution, and I'm an American, and in 1776,
violent
we did
revolution.
one of those, and it was pretty good. Yeah. What do you think? The American?
Okay,
do you think the American Revolution
we
was
also
the Tea
bombed
Party?
Hiroshima. We also bombed Hiroshima.
Don't. Yeah, I know, and that was also unjust and unimaginably cruel. But of course, the Israel Defender is also defending nuking civilians and killing them by the hundreds of thousands. Now listen, let's get back. Let's get back.
But when it goes
let's
against
refocus
it,
the conversation to the.
He's so didn't Hasan last week like debate a child? Like that's the tier of argumentation Hasan is on these days, right? Like he won't debate anyone that has any kind of ability to push back, but he'll debate a like 12-year-old. Oh, it was a 16-year-old. He'll debate a 16-year-old, but he's just like not able to like push back against what she's saying so far.
The points that you made. Let's refocus
what?
the conversation.
Okay,
You said,
just to
what are you
remind
talking
everybody,
about?
I'm actually moderating this, but that's an interesting point that Emily just raised, Hassan.
Hassan
It
would
does seem that you're
probably
very
beat you.
selective about the violence that you support. That when you support it, it's justified. When other people use things in a violent way that you don't support, it's unjustified. Seems like it's all skewed to what Hassan Piker thinks.
Well, not necessarily just what I think. I think that there are obvious markers, obvious boundaries. I don't think violence against civilians is justified. I have talked about October 7 on this very same show, saying that it was a tragedy. It was atrocities that occurred on October 7 specifically. When you target civilians in any capacity, I think that that is unacceptable. However, this does not mean that violence will not occur in many circumstances. Violence has occurred in every single revolutionary action, many good revolutionary actions. Obviously, America bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with an atom bomb. That was not a very
was what
good
Hamas did on
moment
October the
for
7th.
anybody. It was not a very good moment for human civilization at all.
Was what Hamas did on
But that's
October the
not
7th?
the point.
Was what Hamas did on October the 7th an example of what you would call a justified revolution?
I don't look at every single act of.
Oh, the non-answer. Oh, the non-answer, bro. It's the easiest thing. Like, if I was gonna be in Hassan's position here, if I was gonna be, because I mean, me, I'll defend, against the crazy Zionist types. Like, I'll argue against them as well. Like, I don't have to accept that October 7th was at all justified in any of its actions. But I can also say, like, hey, there needs to be some kind of lasting peace, and Israel isn't, like, moving towards that. Obviously, Hamas isn't going to work towards that because they're terrorists. But, like, yeah, do the people in Palestine have a reason to be miffed at the state of affairs? Yeah, they absolutely have a reason to be miffed about the state of affairs. Does that mean that October 7th was, like, how you express that miffedness? No.
Violence. I look at.
You've literally
players,
just been
I look
reciting
at
a whole
the
load of
systems
them.
of oppression.
Why
when
are you
we're analyzing
avoiding,
it,
why are
and
you
do it
avoiding
too,
October the
Piers.
7th?
You do it too.
No, I don't.
I'm not avoiding it. I've talked about it a million times
Well,
over.
let me ask you one more time. Hang on.
This is not what we're here to discuss.
Emily, hang
This
on.
is not what we're here to
Hassan,
discuss.
let me
She
just ask
said,
you. Let me
very
just ask you
specifically,
directly one
Israel's
more
not an
time.
apartheid state.
Let me ask you one more time. Do you believe what happened on October the 7th was a justified act of revolution? Yes or no?
I do not, and I do think that. Wait,
Thank
hold on.
you.
That's, let me clarify. Let me clarify something very important here. Events that unfolded on October 7 were atrocities. That much is clear. Those atrocities could have been avoided if Israel was not an apartheid regime. Israel has been an apartheid
Wait, can
regime
you answer
for
how
75
Israel's an
years.
apartheid regime?
In the
Because
early,
you keep repeating
no,
that.
you can't
keep
just
repeating
chime in.
that.
You can't just chime in. You ask me a question. You want it?
Why
you
is
ask me a question.
Israel an
I'm going to give
apartheid
you.
You're
an
the only person that's been talking for basically the entire time, Hassan.
answer.
Because you're repeating
Israel
these
has been an
lies.
apartheid
Go
regime
ahead,
since
please.
its inception.
How so?
Until 1967, Israel was an apartheid regime for the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs, as you called them. There was a two-tier criminal justice system. They were subjected to the military court processes and not the civil court processes until 1967. After 1967, they got citizenship. There are obviously still many different social issues that pertain to the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs that are living in Israel, those who are not Jewish, of course. However, Israel currently is occupying the West Bank. There are more than 2 million Palestinians that live in the West Bank. Israel's illegally occupying the West Bank. There are checkpoints. There are license plates that restrict Palestinian travel. The Israeli operations in the West Bank have destroyed Palestinian statehood. Now, of course,
Now, like, these things sound bad. Like, here's my point is all of these things aren't necessarily just because, like, fuck Palestinians. Like, there's reasons for all of these things, right? Probably the restriction of travel is due to the history of violence that happens between all of these different groups. People driving into Israel and doing intifadas and doing shit like that. Yeah, there's probably reasons for this. The correct endpoint that you should be going towards isn't just like, oh, well, this is an apartheid state. It's okay. Now we recognize why this is happening. How do we try to fix that? And then you try to find an acceptable and possible solution to that.
all of this is readily available for those who want to learn about it, yourself included. I hope you look it up. B'Tselem is an Israeli human rights organization which declared Israel to be an apartheid regime in 2021, in April of 2021. Amnesty International declared Israel to be an apartheid regime.
Let me, before I move, hang on. Before I just want to bring in our two British panelists here, but just finally, just to clarify, Hassan, I can't quite work out whether you said you do think October the 7th was an unjustified act of revolution or whether you change your mind. So can you clarify?
I think that
weasel words, weasel words
of maintaining an apartheid is inevitably going to yield violent retaliation.
So was it justified?
Something that is completely avoidable.
Was it justified?
Civilian deaths are never justified.
You know what, Hassan?
Hang on, Emily.
Hang on, Emily. You look Hirsch Goldberg, Poland's mother in the eyes. No, you look this person's mother in the eyes and you tell him that this was justified. You tell him his arm being blown off and being held in captivity for 200 days is justified.
I do love that the Israel defender has no capacity to fucking hear anything I'm saying.
Palestinians who are made of identity.
It just, if you're not going to respect...
He's so mad that he's getting pressed on his non-answer. He's so mad that he's getting pressed on his non-answer. Now, this lady's probably like equally crazy on the other side. I don't know exactly how far she goes with everything, but like he's so mad that he can't answer how he wants to answer. How he wants to answer is there are no civilian, civilian settlers. If there's a baby that got killed, if it was a settler, then like free game, just like his buddies and, just like his buddies said, just like that, his buddies that he's on a podcast with, that I think that he still is friends with them, like, come on. Like, this is one reason why I have like so little respect for Hasan, is that he won't say with his whole chest what his opinion is. At least the Zionists that are like super crazy, at least where they stand on things. Even if I hate their point just as much, at least they have the balls to say, yeah, I would wipe out every single Palestinian, right? And then we can have that conversation. But we can't even have a conversation if you won't be honest about what your opinions are.
You think that we're occupying the West Bank?
By the way, of course you don't respect.
Gaza?
Well, if you talk over each other, nobody can hear you.
I just want to think. It's not I think. It's the entire world knows.
No, it is you think.
Hang on, Emily, please. Let me handle this, Emily. Hassan, just before I come to the two people who are with me here, I just need some clarity here, because it seems like you're dancing around whether you think October the 7th was justified or not.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this back and forth masturbation? I've already given you my fucking position.
Why are you doing this?
I'm sick and tired of repeating it over and over again.
Okay,
I just
ask this demon next to me wearing a fucking IDF dog tag.
Ask
this fucking demon next to me wearing an IDF dog tag if she actually thinks is...
Bro, why? He's not going to beat the anti-Semitic allegations. He's not going to beat the allegations if he does the... Ask this demon with the dog tags next to me. Like, come on, dude.
Israel's actions are justifiable.
Bring them home. It's to bring the hostages home. The hostages that you rightly believe belong in the tunnels of Gaza.
I'm going to give you two...
Wait, what was it?
The hostage...
She actually thinks Israel's actions are
justifiable. Bring them home. It's to bring the hostages home. The hostages that you rightly believe belong in the tunnels of Gaza.
I'm going to give you two... I'm going to let you two calm
down. What is the dog tag?
We cannot hear you when you talk over each other. Every time recently I have someone from both sides on, like it goes like this.
I'm wearing this rusty necklace.
Please, can you listen to me, Emily?
Civilians in Gaza right now.
Can you stop doing this to each other, please? Nobody can understand a word either of you are saying. Now let me come to Esther and James here. This is one of my problems, actually.
This dude right here, he looks so perturbed, dude. She's been stone-faced the entire time, just kind of slightly bemused. He's like, I don't know what the is going on here.
Emily condemns
no, Hassan, you will please let me moderate the debate.
Why don't you ask about 30,000 people?
I've got two panelists here who have not had a word yet.
Because you're a fucking terrorist.
Please stop talking.
And I think you're a terrorist. And I think you're a terrorist as well.
Okay, well, I'm not the one wearing...
Because until the hostages are home, don't expect the war to be over.
Yeah, I know.
Bring
you don't
them
care about the hostages.
I love how you're condemning me. You are exposing your own terrorism on live television.
Is the hostage
you
killer.
are exposing...
Benjamin Netanyahu has killed more hostages than
Hamas. What do you think you're achieving here?
For not only oppressing the Palestinian people, but for spreading terrorism. I don't see your outrage at Hamas. Israel gave Gaza back in 2005,
I would like to, please.
and Hamas has turned this into a terrorist haven.
Emily and Hassan, can you please show some courtesy?
Hamas is the lesser evil in comparison
This is such
to Israel.
memes,
Can you please stop
dude.
talking, both of you, and let the other two panelists have a say? Give them some courtesy. Please, some courtesy for your co-panelists here. Now, Esther, this is one of the problems I have with this whole debate, is that increasingly it just descends into a screaming match between pro-Palestinians and pro-Israelis.
And the biggest losers are the victims of this war. 33,000 dead Palestinians, over 1,500 dead Israelis. These are the biggest victims of this, because you're shouting at each other and nothing is getting... Like, you're completely... Forget having no courtesy for us. You're completely disrespecting actual...
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know what this woman's whole deal is. But again, I have so little respect for people who have a very strong position on an issue, but they have no desire to fix the problem, right? If you have an issue that you care about so goddamn much, don't you think that you would be like trying super hard to think of some kind of solution that would be actually super effective, right? Something that would actually, get rid of the issue at hand, or at least mitigate the issue at hand, or something that could be like long lasting, or at least a step in the right direction that is possible? Do you not have that drive in you whatsoever? I just don't understand the mindset of like, my side is 100% correct 100% of the time. There is no ground that I can give like on every single issue, and that's the way that it is with Hasan. And like, at least on this issue, that's the way it is with her. I don't know anything else about her, but like, I don't know if there's a single issue in my mind that there couldn't be some compromise where there's like some level of harm mitigation that is done while still being able to get some sort of legislation through. I can't think of a single issue. No, there is no big issue facing our country right now that I don't think that there could be like some compromise on so that we can get something done. Do I think what's wrong in principle? Like, other than the form of Zionism I would support, do you think Zionism is still something you'd agree with ideologically as far as a right for the Jews to have a nation state? I don't really care that much about Zionism at all, to be honest. I don't care about Zionism at all. Israel is a state. And it's not going away. What is the solution for this like perpetual warfare? That's literally all I care about in regards to Israel-Palestine. What is an acceptable solution that we can move forward, right? It's never going to happen as long as we have insane retards constantly screaming at each other like Hassan and whoever the this lady is.
Victims of this conflict, which by the way didn't happen in a vacuum, and I think that's the most important thing to say about this. None of this happened in a vacuum. Of course, October the 7th was an atrocity, and it was completely unjustified. There was no justification for butchering people in the way that they did, but it didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of the people that live in Gaza weren't even born at the time that Hamas came in power. So I really despise this. You're a terrorist sympathizer, you're a genocide supporter, all of this, when really the people that we should be talking about deserve better.
Okay, James, on the wider point of these protests.
Well, I couldn't get to that part because I wanted to describe what the apartheid is, and Emily cut in immediately to chirp about some random shit.
Okay, you were both abusing each other. It was very unedifying.
It was very
let me ask James. James, on the protests.
Yeah, dude.
On the protests, look, I believe in the right to protest. That's an absolute bedrock of any democracy. But I don't believe in the right to support terror groups publicly, or to chant about support for Hamas, or to chant about Intifada, which is a violent uprising. Where's the line for you with these?
I agree. I think we have to condemn what Hamas did, and I don't think the words that have been used so far have been strong enough. I mean, it was the worst thing we've seen in a very long time. It was disgusting.
One second. I'm super curious. Jesus Christ. The largest age group is 19 and below. And under 25 makes up easily half, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, easily half, more than half. That's insane, actually.
Appalling, awful for everyone involved.
Well, actually, is that insane? Age demo graphics USA. Let me actually. Don't we have like a older population? Come on. 18 to 44 years old. Under 18 is 22%. Okay, yeah, we have a much older. That is crazy.
I also have a lot of sympathy, if not, I can't think of a bigger word, for the people of Gaza. It's awful, and I will agree with you. I do want a free Palestine, and I also want a free and successful Israel, but I don't want innocent people murdered. So yeah, you can't go to a protest and start shouting about support for Hamas. That's insane.
Isn't it ironic that something like this has become a haven for like the mentally unwell? You're talking about something as serious as a conflict in Israel and Gaza, and for some reason you have really uneducated people that are clearly 20 years ago would have been in an asylum supporting this openly, not even knowing the conflict, not even knowing the context of what they're supporting. And for some reason we even give it airtime. That's what upsets me. These people don't deserve airtime.
Right? Everyone is so triggered on both sides, on all sides, and rightly so, because a lot of terrible stuff.
Did you see Hassan? He was so triggered, and then this guy says all sides. He's like, okay, at least he's criticizing the Jews too.
Everyone is so triggered on both sides, on all sides, and rightly so, because a lot of terrible stuff has happened. So that's where the emotion is coming from. But really, I think we all want the same thing, and that is for innocent people to not be murdered or slain in the streets.
Right. I mean, look, Hassan. Hang on, Emily. Something? Please, I'll come to you. Let me just ask Hassan. When you and Emily go at each other like you just did, nobody wins. I mean, no one can really understand a word you're saying because you're shouting over each other. You end up just calling each other terrorists. There's no sensible dialogue here. There's no constructive conversation. It's just two implacably opposed sides abusing each other. Do you understand that?
You know what's really funny too? Like this just popped into my head from my lefty days. Like the lefty line for a criticism of this panel would be like, look at these two liberals. They're sitting there jerking themselves off in an academic way, right? Without like recognizing the true like bad guy in the situation. When these people are like, hey, listen, my value is less civilian death. When people are shouting at each other like this, it's just virtue signaling back and forth, and we're not actually getting anything done. Piers is 100% correct here. Like, nobody's hearing what either of you guys are saying. You're just calling each other terrorists. No, I'm not getting any more information out of that. I don't know what you want to see come out of all of this. Like, but the lefties, they think that a strong, unmoving stance with zero capitulation on literally any aspect of anything that they want to happen is the only way to go forward. It's the only like real authentic way to engage with any topic. They don't want a solution. They want to be in control. Like, and don't get me wrong, the far right person is also more likely like that. I just don't know as much about her positions, but based off of what I can assume about her, I'm going to make an assumption that is how she is as well. God bless you too, Iced.
Yeah, listen, Piers, okay? This is going to always be a very heated discussion, okay? Having a conversation about how heated this discussion is utterly unproductive. Every single moment.
No, it's not having a discussion about how heated the discussion is. You ape, you retard. What is wrong with you? He's saying, like, do you not see that, like, in the position that we're in, we can have a productive conversation about like what both sides want to see happen, what both sides can agree to and what they can't agree to, and then like trying to take that first step, at least the very, 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 very least. We can try to like take that first step, but the way that you're engaging does not allow for that. The way that you're engaging allows only for this type of engagement, screaming back and forth with the extremes of both sides having the only voice. You don't want a solution unless it's a final solution. Like, what do you want, Hasan?
That we use on air, not talking about every single university building being desecrated, destroyed. The fact that we're having this conversation on the eve of hundreds of mass graves being unearthed right now in many different parts of Gaza around hospitals that Israel had laid siege to is disgusting. I agree. I came on here, as I have done last time as well, and as I will probably do in the future.
Wait. What? Mass graves? Mass graves we knew about? I don't know about any mass graves. Gaza mass grave? Oops, I didn't mean to open that in a new window. What the is this? What do we know? Oh my God, the ad at the top. Discovery of mass graves at 2 Gaza hospitals said by Palestinian authorities to contain hundreds of bodies have triggered calls by the UN rights chief and others for international investigation. While not defined under international law, a mass grave is a burial site containing multiple bodies. Okay, I was about to say, do y'all remember a long time ago, there was the Lauren Southern versus the serfs debate, and they were describing a mass grave, but it wasn't multiple people buried in one hole. It was like a graveyard that no longer had grave markers anymore, right? So, like, I was about to say, like, is this that kind of mass grave? Or is this, like... Let's see here. Some of them had their hands tied. Well, if they start posting evidence of that, okay, we'll have to see. Again, I'm not a like 100% Israel stan. So if they were lining people up and shooting them into mass graves, I'm not gonna have any kind words for them.
Future as well, with one simple goal in mind, which is to address all of the misinformation that surrounds stuff like this. As far as the crackhead Barbie thing goes, yeah, she's a random TikTok influencer who gives a shit about what she has to say. She's obviously doing it for clout. But the students over at Columbia, okay, the students that I have talked to at the Columbia University Apartheid Divest group, the students that I've talked to from Jewish Voice for Peace.
All right, Emily, let me just ask you the same thing I asked Hassan.
Oh,
when you
was that a
guys
cut?
scream at each other and call each other terrorists, it doesn't obviously achieve anything other than it becomes unintelligible to the audience. You know, is there not a better way we can have this conversation?
Funnily enough, correct. And funnily enough, I have the same exact answer as Hassan. My job here is to make sure that I'm debunking false narratives that Hassan is clearly spewing. My job here is to call out hypocrisy. And I just saw another one where he's saying that crackhead Barney, whoever the hell that girl was, is a lunatic, but Aaron...
Is it Barney or Barbie? Everyone on this panel has said Barney and Barbie. Which one is it? Is it crackhead Barney?
Bushnell, who lights himself on fire, is a hero. You can't pick and choose whatever fits your narrative. And I keep on repeating that over and over again because the Palestinian movement will literally just take what they can get, spew all of the truth into their false narrative, spread misinformation, and then you say that we're the liars. You tell me I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home for the hostages that you... No, it says bring them home.
What does it say?
I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home for the hostages that you... No, it says bring them home.
You're using the hostages as a simple political tool to make propaganda in the West. Is quite disgusting. The protests that are happening in Israel right now are massive.
Are a political tool?
And those protests...
What the f*** are the... I'm sorry. This is actually so... For how much Hassan likes to call people like inhuman, like, you know, pig dogs and shit like that he likes to call people. Like the idea that being concerned about the hostages who are being held by a terrorist group, they're just tools to spread a narrative. They're literally key to the entire conflict. Yeah, I know. There is no question about him being a joke, but it's key to the entire conflict currently happening.
Yes.
What?
You are using
Hassan,
humans in captivity as a political tool. It's so obvious.
Why, Hassan? Why are you dehumanizing the hostages? Because I have no problem admitting the Palestinians deserve better.
Not.
I feel terrible.
You're using them as a political pawn.
I can say that.
If you cared about the hostages,
they're a key part to the entire thing. Why do you think that the negotiations have broken down at every single point? Either Israel wants all of the hostages released, or, you know, like too many hostages released for Hamas. Hamas doesn't want to release any of the hostages because then they lose some of their negotiating power. Like it's key to the entire thing. It's part of the conversation. You can't talk about the current Gaza-Israel war or Hamas-Israel war, however you want to call it, and not talk about the hostages. 1.5 speed, I'm scared we wouldn't be able to understand them. I thought about that.
You would be in Tel Aviv right
Hamas
now,
using the
alongside.
Right, let me bring in James. Let me bring in James,
They won't-
please.
I'm sorry that I can't.
Please, let me bring in James.
I agree with both of you.
Sorry, can you please, when I say stop talking, please stop talking. We've got 4 people here. James.
If anyone is using hostages, surely it's Hamas, Hassan.
True.
How can you say that? How can you use that argument? That's a crazy thing to say. It's Hamas
What do you
that
mean, how can I
have
use that
taken
argument?
these
There
people
are
from their
currently
homes,
tens of thousands of people in
murdered their
Israel.
relatives.
There are currently tens of thousands of Israeli citizens right now in the streets of Israel, in the streets of Tel Aviv, outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, protesting every single day. What are they protesting? They're protesting for Benjamin Netanyahu to facilitate a ceasefire with Hamas so that they can actually bring the hostages home. That is precisely the
But
number one
who
goal
here
of
is
the
using
family
the
members of the
hostages?
hostages.
Who
And
is
if
using the
anyone on
hostages?
this panel
Who is
would
using the
a little bit
hostages as
on it,
leverage?
they would recognize
You're
the
not listening to
reality
my
that,
question.
listen, just listen.
You didn't listen.
Netanyahu isn't using well, unless something has changed that I don't know about. I don't think that Netanyahu is using the hostages as leverage in these negotiations because he has no leverage with the hostages. Hamas has leverage with the hostages.
Listen to my question.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand perhaps what I'm trying to
That's
imply
very
here.
patronizing.
Utilizing the hostages. Yeah,
I still, well, as a former leftist, I can tell you exactly how it goes. There is class struggle. There is, the boiling it all the way down. There is the elites versus the people, right? And put those in quotes because it can, what the elites are and what the people are can fit into a million different things. Or different things, right? We can see Marxist literature that goes back to, I think, like the 60s, maybe late 50s of, like the critical race theory Marxism, where people are talking about, the elites and the people. We're defining these as the oppressors and the oppressed in this situation are black people and white people. Black people are the people, white people are the elites. And, like, it's not a wholly unuseful lens through which to look at politics, right? I don't think it's wholly unuseful. But using it as your only lens is insane, right? So what they see in the Palestinian cause is there are people that are being oppressed, therefore they are the people, and Israel is the elites because they are the ones that are oppressing the people. So therefore Israel is all evil. There is no justification for anything. There are no shades of gray. It is the people versus the elites. When it comes to the LGBTQ members supporting Palestine and saying like there is no LGBT liberation until Palestinian liberation, a lot of like especially recent Marxist thinkers and movements have started to lump in I hate to call it intersectionality because I don't know if that's exactly how it goes, but it's a we're all being oppressed, therefore if one of us isn't liberated, none of us are liberated. Even though like the average Gazan probably would throw a gay person off of a roof. Also, America bad. America supports Israel, therefore Israel bad. Yes, 100%.
I am being patronizing. I don't know who the you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fine type bullshit. Where you're talking about how you want to free Palestine, but also simultaneously, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the up. You don't know anything.
Yeah, both sides have genuine reasons to hate the other side. You moron. You baboon. You knuckle-dragging troglodyte. Why do you think the situation is as tense as it is right now? Because both sides have equal reason to hate each other. They both kill each other. They're both doing this constantly. They're both doing it. You have no desire to save Palestinian people unless that is at the expense of Israel. You have no desire to find a solution. You just want what you want. But you have no basis for that outside of Israel is bad.
Okay? I don't give a shit about what your perspective is.
I agree
Hassan doesn't like what
You don't fit easily into the Palestine group or the Israel group. So therefore, I don't know what your position is. Just because I'm not an extremist on one side or the other doesn't mean that my position is not clear. This was ultra clear earlier. His value is he wants there to be less civilian deaths. All right. He wants there to be a cessation of hostilities. He wants there to be a lasting solution. And he wants to have a conversation about how do we achieve that. And retard Hassan over here with his 2 brain cells that are constantly battling each other for a scrap of the oxygen that barely reaches it to his tiny head. He just can't conceive of the fact that, like, maybe, just maybe, not everyone is a political extremist like me that wants the most farthest policy. Policy. He doesn't think about policy. He just wants the good guys, in his view, to win and the bad guys, the Jews, to lose. And whatever happens, happens.
I have to say, so you're wrong. It's Hassan's way or the highway.
I mean, you
wow,
are.
Really
There is no.
And also, let's be clear, lady, you're probably the exact same way on the other side. Okay, that's what should happen. The ceasefire. I mean, like, I'm not against a ceasefire. I want there to be a ceasefire. I want there to be a cessation of violence. But we have to balance that with what is going to bring about the best possibility for a lasting peace. What is going to bring about the best possibility for a lasting peace? It's probably going to be Hamas has to go, right? Does that mean that I want them to, just continue until they kill everyone in Gaza, therefore all of Hamas is dead by that transitive value? No, I don't think that, right? Netanyahu, that government, the Likud government needs to go. They're absolutely dog shit. They have no desire to bring about a peace until they get everything that they want. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Both sides have to make major changes, but Hamas will never change. At least in Israel, there is a democracy where people are pissed off at Likud and they might vote him out. Like, that's the only way to move forward. Out of curiosity, even though you're banned on Twitch, are you still allowed to talk to Twitch streamers? No, I'm not. Have I considered debating Hassan? Hassan doesn't debate people. Well, I say he doesn't debate people. He doesn't debate people unless he can go on Piers Morgan, or unless he can pull a 16-year-old from his chat to debate. Yeah.
Genocide. Is there both sides of genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is in the Hamas charter? They want Jewish genocide, but that's okay. But Jewish genocide is okay.
If you're talking about the well-being of the hostages,
let me scoot back just a couple of seconds, because Mr. Black Metal follower, 100%. The worst thing about this conflict is that it's hard for me to choose which group I should have empathy for. Because when I check the Israel-Palestine conflict, I got to say the history of this conflict is clusterfucked as hell. Yes, it is. Both sides have high levels of blame for where they're at now. Nobody is wholly innocent. Nobody is like the majority shareholder of the evil. I think that they're both doing horrible things to each other constantly, right? There have been brief moments in time where one side or the other side will have someone that has like a quarter of an ounce of political savvy where they can possibly get something through to, fix the situation, but it's only one at a time. Both sides need to like sit down and be like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of done with this. I'm kind of done with spending half of my national budget on missiles to send to the other side. I'm kind of done with like the constant bullshit. So like someone has to step up to do that. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to sell out their side completely. The Palestinians should have someone on their side that is going to adequately advocate on their behalf so that they have some leverage. And Israel it's got to be the U.S., but Israel should have someone on their side that's going to adequately advocate for their side. And you just got to negotiate it. And if someone decides, hey, you know what? I'm not, we're just going to pull out of this, then you know what? We're just going to live in this situation for the rest of our, human existence.
There is no both sides on a genocide. Is there both sides on a genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is in the Hamas charter? They want Jewish genocide, but that's okay. But Jewish genocide is okay.
If you're talking about the well-being of the if you're talking about the well-being of the hostages, what sense did it make for the IDF to flatten about 70% of Gaza? Because I completely agree. Bring the hostages home.
I mean, yeah, but like, Hassan thinks he has someone on his side here, but like I gotta say, I don't think this lady is nearly as far left as he is. He's hoping for someone to be on his side.
If you look at Gaza, the topography of Gaza right now, it looks like a pancake. So I'm sorry, there's a whole argument of Hamas using them as human tools. Fine, but the IDF has also been using it to continue that campaign. If you were told that, if God forbid, if your relative was one of the hostages and you saw what's happening right now, and I met someone whose mother is a hostage, and he said he didn't want his mother and her being taken to be used in the name of violence. Right now, he's sitting at home wondering, okay, what is the logic of trying to bring my mother home when you flattened Gaza? Please explain that to us.
So can I?
Because you might very well pull those hostages from under.
Okay, let Emily respond to that.
Everyone wants to criticize the IDF's response, but nobody wants to tell me what should Israel be doing to retaliate October 7th, eradicate Hamas from preventing another.
Literally, just give us a game plan. What is your goal? That's like my biggest criticism of the IDF at this moment. Like, what is the explicit war aims that you have, right? For Israel right now, they've said, we want to eliminate Hamas and bring the hostages home. What does that look like? What does it mean to eliminate Hamas? Does that mean, take out their leadership? Does that mean wipe out 70% of their forces? Does that mean, what does it mean to eradicate Hamas? You have to, if they gave us like what they want to do, at least then I could have a stronger position to either support or, not support their actions, right? But at the very beginning, I was pretty supportive because, Hamas, right? But this has been going on, 8 months now? It's gone on for a long time. It's time for us to start thinking, hey, what is the end goal? I don't know what they have and haven't achieved besides blowing the up out of Gaza.
October 7th and bring the hostages.
I have an idea.
You have a solution?
I have an idea. Do not flatten Gaza and potentially pull your own hostages up from under the rubble, like have been done with thousands of Palestinians. That's a good idea. Yeah. Have you found any of them under the rubble?
So you're saying that you don't have an answer.
That is the answer.
So you
don't kill your own hostages.
But you're quick to condemn the IDF.
That's not an answer, actually. Like, sorry, L to the lady that I've been gassing up the entire time. L. Like, yeah, I agree in principle, but like that's not an actual like game plan. I don't have to be clear, I'm a retard on the internet, okay? I am not a military expert. I probably know more about like basically anything going on with this situation than most other people, especially after looking into the Ukraine and Russia situation, know a little bit about like, modern military stuff. I don't know what the Israel should do, but I would like to see what they are trying to do, Finger snapping and triggering my autism, true.
How does that sound?
Have an answer.
How about not killing the hostages?
Very interesting.
I have an answer.
Thank you for proving my point.
It's called the
Yes,
dissolution
Hassan.
of the apartheid regime. That's what it's.
There is no solution to Hasan except for the complete eradication of the state of Israel. Which, guess what? You don't have a solution either. I cannot describe the level of hate I have for people like Hasan. Oh my God.
It's called dissolve the apartheid regime.
So what would you like to
allow
see happen,
Palestinians
Hassan?
breathing room. Do you not understand the English language?
We're
Dissolve
delayed.
the
It's delayed.
apartheid regime.
You need a Xanax, first of all.
Does that mean destroy the state of Israel? Does that mean that the Likud party needs to go? Does that mean a one party or one state solution under Israel? Does that mean a one state solution under Palestine? You're speaking in vagaries. Yeah, nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. You are speaking the English language and you're speaking so many words, but you choose to say nothing.
Need a Xanax. Okay, so should Israel do
I'm
to
sorry,
the West Bank
30,000
what they did to
Palestinians have been
Gaza?
ruthlessly slaughtered by the
Should
Israeli
Israel
state.
give
It makes
back
me a
the
little
land so that
upset
it can
when
turn
someone is
into another
defending that.
Gaza? Is that what you'd like to see? Another terrorist haven launching rockets all day instead of turning into Singapore? Because that's what they did in 2005.
Wait, hold on.
Releasing the hostages isn't the only priority Israel has. Defeating Hamas, even if the hostages will be killed, is a much higher priority for Israeli security. That's demonic. You need a Xanax, first of all, yeah.
What is Singapore? The
billions
West
of
Bank.
dollars in
Hold on,
aid they
is the
turned
West
into
Bank
building
Singapore?
tunnels. Is that what you like to see?
Bombing.
I don't know.
Who's
Have I
bombing
gone deaf?
Singapore every day?
Sorry,
What,
Emily, is the
Singapore
West
an
Bank
open-air
supposed to be
prison?
Singapore?
What are you talking about?
Is the
Wait,
West Bank
what?
supposed to be? Wait, hold on.
We see how they've been launching rockets all day instead of turning into Singapore, because that's what they did in 2005.
Wait, hold on.
We see how
What
that
is
works.
Singapore? The
billions
West
of
Bank.
dollars in
Hold on,
aid they
is the
turned
West
into
Bank
building
Singapore?
tunnels. Is that what you like to see?
Bombing.
I don't know.
Who's
Have I
bombing
gone deaf?
Singapore every day?
Sorry,
What,
Emily,
is
is the
Singapore
West
an
Bank
open-air
supposed to be
prison?
Singapore?
Where is Singapore coming into this conversation at all?
What are you talking about?
Is the West Bank supposed to be
The West
Singapore?
Bank received. The West Bank has a port. They can import and export. Israel gave them a great piece of land. They received billions of dollars in aid, not only
Israel
from the
gave
U.S.,
them a great
but
piece of
Israel
land?
gave. Are you
No.
mad? They had a.
The West Bank. West Bank port? There's a port in Gaza. She must have misspoke, right? Oh wait, hold on. No, if we look at that, maybe right here they have a port so that they can trade with Jordan. I don't know how wide and deep the the Jordan River is, but I assume that you can't like ship in as much as you think you could into there, right? Okay, it's possible, but I think she misspoke, right?
Chance to rebuild, but they spent the last 15 plus years crying
Oh, wow.
that they don't have
Okay.
enough
The
land
West Bank
because there
is
is never
Singapore.
enough land for them instead of rebuilding. But that's okay. Build terrorist tunnels. Don't build hotels and don't rebuild
Israel
civilization.
has
Just build
not
terrorist
allowed
tunnels to keep hostages
Palestinians
in.
to have a nation state that they deserve by international law since the inception of the Israeli nation state. What you are saying is insane to me. The fact that you brought up the last 15 years as Palestinians crying is disgusting.
Oh, I have one more question.
You are a disgusting little monster who thinks that not offering contiguity to the Palestinians in the form of a state, which is under international law, is just simply Palestinians
I have one
crying.
question.
Okay?
This West
Palestinians
Bank
don't want a
Singapore.
two-state
Hold on.
solution.
This
They want
West
a
Bank
one-state
Singapore.
solution that eradicates the Israelis, which is not an option.
Fine. This West Bank
You're wrong.
Singapore. What place
You're wrong.
does the settlement?
That is not necessarily wrong, okay? Especially under Hamas leadership. Come on. But like, can't Hassan or Hamas Piker here can't criticize Hamas because he scared the whole new subscriber.
Playing that. Please paint a picture of how the West Bank of Singapore or whatever, Singapore of the West Bank. How does this illegal settlements fit into
Ma'am,
that?
I think you're completely missing. You're missing the picture.
Just explain to me
Israel
how the
wanted
settlements
to
fit
give
into that
them
picture.
a piece of land. I'm explaining it.
Okay, I'm listening.
The picture is they got a great piece of land to turn into society. Instead of turning
who
it
got the
into
land?
civilized society,
Who did?
Israel gave the land to Gaza. They
So then why
withdrew.
the
They
Israeli
removed
settlements?
It's not
Israelis
Israel's
from
land
their
to give.
homes.
It's
then
not
why-
Israel.
Oh my God. Is she calling Gaza the West Bank because it's on the west side of the country? Is she from Israel? Who are these people? Pro-Israel journalist Emily Austin. Is she from Israel or is she? Okay. So she's not Israeli. Maybe she's just. I wish there was a debate between actual historians and professional diplomats how to solve this conflict. Well, they've done that like 9 times over the past 80 years. Yeah, she is very strongly Jewish. I mean, like, I could have guessed that, but
Land to give.
Homes
It is
since
not Israel's land to
2005.
give.
There are no Jews or Israelis. There are no settlements in Gaza.
in the West
they
Bank.
gave it to
in the West
the
Bank. They're
Palestinians.
not in the West Bank.
I'm speaking about Gaza, and
Oh,
now
I'm
you're
asking
changing
about
the
West Bank
narrative.
because I was interested
I'm
in knowing about
showing you.
Singapore.
I'm telling you that if Israel
Palestinians.
pulls out completely from the West Bank, if Israel pulls out from the West Bank, you can bet your ass it turns into the next Gaza. The world does
And
not
she
need two
does know the
Gazas because
difference.
one Gaza has already caused enough damage. If, however,
Yes.
Gaza decides to demand
Every
that
argument with
Hamas
Israel
removes
is
themselves
about some
from power,
hypothetical.
and they
It's-
can have democracy,
Israel has to do a
then yes,
genocide
there's
because if
potential
Israel
for a
doesn't do a
two-state
genocide,
solution.
then the
There's
Gaza
no
Israel
genocide. The only genocide is the Hamas charter that
You
wants to
cannot do
eradicate the Jews.
defensive genocide.
wait, what is this guy's?
It's about some
power,
hypothetical.
and they can have democracy.
Israel has to do a
then yes,
genocide
there's
because if
potential
Israel
for a
doesn't do a
two-state
genocide,
solution.
then the Gaza
There's no
sounds a bit
genocide.
like
The only genocide is the Hamas charter that
You
wants to
cannot
eradicate
do
the Jews.
defensive genocide.
You know, it's interesting the word
Not defensive
genocide.
genocide.
Because, hang on, it's interesting the
no
word. It's interesting,
genocide
hang
happening.
on.
It's just
Israel is
a
I would love to get a
buzzword.
word in,
Don't allow it.
please. Interesting the word genocide because I've listened to all
Okay,
this.
3 more
fractious
minutes, guys.
debate,
We can
everyone
do
talking over each other. The truth is that actually only one side is publicly said that they wish to pursue a genocide, and that is Hamas. Hamas, after October the 7th, through their official spokesman on camera, said they wanted to do it again and again and again. That is the purest articulation of a genocide imaginable. And the one thing I never hear from the pro-Palestinian side.
Oh my God. I mean, it's on camera. I remember seeing it. I remember reading the the subtitles. All right. I remember the captions. My guy. Why can't people just admit like the bad parts on their side, you know?
Is what Israel was actually. Hang on. No, don't interrupt me.
So one
I haven't
Hamas
asked you a question yet.
One Hamas guy.
Sorry, I need to ask you a question.
You're being a ridiculous person.
I'm not being a ridiculous person. I'm just saying, nobody ever tells me.
How many Israeli officials, even on your show, have said we should keep doing what we have been doing to Gaza over and over again? How does that not register in the same genocidal intent? If you think what that dude was saying, which was, by the way, ridiculous, what he was saying, the Hamas official was saying, is that we're going to do October 7th over and over.
Because even if you want to say the Israelis are being genocidal, at least they have the, you know, good sense to like have an air of plausible deniability. Even if you want to say that they are genocidal, which I don't think that it is a genocide going on over there. I think that that's a very strong word that is being thrown around way too often nowadays. That I've done a unfortunate amount of research into. But even if you want to say Israel's being genocidal, they at least have, you know, the good grace to, in the self-preservation mindset, to have plausible deniability. Hamas is just like, yeah, we're going to kill the Jews. Yeah, we're going to carve up all your babies. Yeah, we're going to go in there. We're going to do it again. What are you going to do about it? And then they got flattened.
Over again. We are justified in doing it over and over again. I find that to be abhorrent. However, what you fail to recognize is that's the genocidal intent, but not Amalek. That's the genocidal intent, but not saying we are fighting human animals. And that's why we have to cut off their food, their water, and their electricity. That was Defense Minister Yoav Gallant.
There we go with the lies again. You're saying Israel cuts off their electricity. They don't even provide their electricity. You're saying they cut off their water. They don't cut off their water. You are spewing lies on national television.
They did for a while.
I think so. Hang on. Again, you're talking over each other. Some of the comments. There's no doubt, Emily.
People they're at war with.
Some of the comments.
Israel is.
No, Pierce, I'm not letting him spew.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna respond to that, Black Metal. I can't. I'll get in trouble.
It's pointless.
I swear to God.
This is pointless. We're getting nowhere. But thank you.
Did Yoav Gallant not say that?
What's Hassan's opinion on Russia? Oh man, did you miss the Hasan lead up to the invasion memes? Where Ukraine wasn't going to get invaded, they weren't going to get invaded, they weren't going to get invaded. Everyone that's saying this is just like a warhawk hog that wants to kill, you know, as many Russians as possible. And then like he like half walked that back, and then he's still anti-Ukraine to this day.
Cutting off electricity, water, and aid.
Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals or not? Answer that question. Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals and we have to cut off their electricity, cut off their food, cut off their water?
Okay.
Yeah, the slight
you know what? I'm going to cut off. I'm going to cut off this debate.
Of their electricity. The rest is Hamas.
I'm going to cut off the debate because we're getting absolutely nowhere. But I appreciate everybody joining me. Thank you very much indeed.
That was a long silence and a dead stare from him. Oh man. This is here as like final roundup thoughts real quick. Hasan is obviously ideologically driven and audience captured to the point where like he can't ever give his full take on anything, because otherwise he'll lose subscriber, or if he gives his full take, then only like the tankies in his audience will stay, and that's not enough to support his lifestyle. I don't know what he does and doesn't actually believe. Real quick, I see some new names in chat. If you guys like this shit, please like the stream. Liking the stream helps out way more than you could possibly imagine. Tron, the editor in chat right there, has told me all about, you know, the different analytics and all that. So like the stream, that helps me out. And if you like the stream, please subscribe to the channel.